Uber is looking to buy Postmates for $2.6 billion, guys. Brandon back again. I'm hitting you with 2 videos in a day here because this is really big news, right? So last month, I think it was last month, we were hearing about, Uber's going to buy Grubhub for a deal that I think was around $8 billion or something along those lines. That actually fell through. We talked about that on a couple podcasts. That fell through. Grubhub ended up getting purchased by a company, a European company, I believe. Now, Uber is actually looking to buy Postmates instead of Grubhub, which is interesting from a business standpoint. And I think a lot of YouTubers and content people around the rideshare space, they want to talk to drivers strictly about the on the road stuff. But I want to also bring you into kind of the business things and start that conversation because drivers, you care about that stuff. You guys are business people. You care about business, right? So let's talk about that real quick. It makes a lot of sense from Uber's standpoint to be able to purchase some delivery platform, get that instant surge of growth in this time where delivery is obviously peaking right now. Delivery is a big deal. Delivery is up exponentially. Delivery is going to stay up exponentially as COVID-19 persists, and then even throughout. After COVID subsides in maybe 12 to 18 months or something like that, hopefully sooner, delivery is still going to be around. People are getting in the habit of doing delivery. They're going to stay in the habit of doing delivery, whether that be hot food delivery, Postmates, DoorDash, Grubhub, or your Instacars, your Ships of the world. People are still going to do that stuff, not going away. It makes a lot of sense for Uber to, again, get instant growth and then be able to get some efficiencies of scale by basically not having to have like duplicate roles, so it's kind of cutthroat. You're gonna end up with a situation where, Postmates, you have these 2 like financial analysts. We only need 1, so we're gonna cut 1. That is nasty, but that is why they're doing that, so they can basically cut those costs and become more efficient, but also keep that growth. So that's why they're doing it. From a bottom line standpoint, yeah, it makes sense. From a humanitarian standpoint, from a driver standpoint, though, how does that affect things? We actually talked about this with Grubhub, when they were thinking of buying, of doing that acquisition, when they were working through that. Pros and cons here. One of the pros is hey guys, it stays in business. These companies need to be able to stay in business for us to be able to drive for them and be able to see any income whatsoever. So that's kind of like the main thing is, Uber needs to kind of make these moves in order to stay viable, as Uber Eats is going to basically be the thing for them for the next 12 months, as rideshare demand is while it's increasing, it's not going to be increased to pre-COVID levels anytime soon. So I think it's important. It is definitely important for the viability of the company for them to figure out some sort of growth potential. So one, them staying in business, that's great. 2, you also see if they are cost cutting in other areas that aren't drivers, they're going to look less at drivers in order to do those cost cuts. So that's great on drivers' hands, so that they're not trying to. We talk about Uber's take rate quite a bit. They're not going to be looking to improve that take rate, which is basically their share of the total revenue of the order. They're not going to be looking to as aggressively improve that from cutting driver pay if they can cut that in other areas. So those are some good things there for sure. Cons is just like, what's that? And this is a really big unknown, is what does it look like for a Postmates driver to essentially become an Uber Eats driver? Is that how it's going to work? Or are they going to still be 2 different platforms? There's a lot of unknown going on there. And then when you're ordering, and this could be a pro, when you're ordering, or when I'm driving around, if I'm just on Uber Eats, am I going to be able to get orders from Postmates and from Uber Eats? Is that how it's going to play? So there's just like a lot of unknown in that area that I think is up in the air, that I'm going to kind of put into the cons bucket right now, just because it's so unknown. It's like some scary potential there. It also kind of just obviously it makes it difficult for drivers to diversify. We talk a lot about being on as many platforms as you can. Things like deactivations happen. Things like, oh well, delivery isn't as viable as it once was, or more so, rideshare isn't as viable as it once was. Maybe delivery, things change, and you want to be able to make sure that you are on as many platforms as possible to be able to take on the ever evolving world here, right? So obviously, if Uber starts to gobble up these companies, you have less of an opportunity to actually diversify your income stream there. So it becomes more difficult. You also could potentially have more competition as well. So we talked about on the demand side. Well, hey, I can all of a sudden, I can get Ubers or deliveries from Uber Eats and Postmates potentially, but I also potentially am competing with Postmates drivers now all of a sudden as an Uber Eats driver. Maybe. I don't know how that's going to work out. That's way too early for them to, really release those details. I doubt they even know what those details are. So, but that's just kind of one of the considerations that could generally affect rideshare drivers. So, a lot up in the air here. Talks are early. Literally just kind of got the word about 12 hours ago about this potential deal here. So more to come. I do think this is going to be something. If it happens, it sounds like it's going to move pretty quickly. Really interesting to note that Postmates, they were kind of thinking about going public. So they're really kind of looking at all of their options in terms of, what their next moves are. So again, super early on. We're not 100% sure what's going to happen. We'll be right here when things do happen and we do get more information here. So just be alert, drivers. Be kind of aware of what's going on in the environment. And talk to you next time.